to National Transfer Week. Today we are talking about embedding college advisors. This is a webinar, so if you do have questions, we do encourage that, but we're asking that you use the Q&A feature at the bottom of your screen versus the chat feature. And we will do our best to get to all of your questions. So I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to our presenter.
Hi, everybody. I am so excited to be here with you guys today. My name is Cruz, and I'm an embedded advisor at Mesa Community College. I'll tell you a little bit about myself and my background. So I grew up in Yuma, Arizona, and I came to ASU for my undergrad. And then throughout my career, I've been working in different departments, and you'll see a little bit later how that's kind of all come together to be useful to the current position that I'm at. I worked as a middle school teacher. I did that for a couple years, and then after working as a teacher, I had the opportunity to come back to my alma mater, Arizona State, go Devils, and be a recruiter. I did recruitment for a few years. I transitioned into academic advising, and then I was able to be an academic advisor at Arizona State before coming to the community college system. So you'll see a little bit later how that kind of all comes together to help the embedded advisor program kind of as it goes. I'm also bilingual, and so I'm bilingual in Spanish as well as English, obviously. And then my school, I'm currently located at Westwood High School, which is in Mesa, Arizona, west side of Mesa. And there's a pretty large population of students whose families speak Spanish there. So the second language comes in handy a lot. So what we're going to talk about today is a little bit about what our embedded advisor program is. And then, I'm going to give you a little background about the embedded advisor program with Mesa Public Schools, as well as with our community college, Mesa Community College. And then hopefully set that up, because you might be wondering, what does a high school embedded advisor have to do with transfer student success if they're going to one college and then they're transferring to another college? I promise I'm going to connect the dots for you. And so you have to be a little bit patient with me. It's a little bit further down, but first I think I need to do some, level setting and give some background about our program so you can understand just what my position is. And then we can kind of go into how that does support transfer students in the long run. So we're going to do a little bit of getting to know the college, getting to know our school district, and then getting to know my role within those two components. And then hopefully I think that should clear things up for everybody. So first thing to know is I work at Mesa Community College. It's one of the larger colleges within the Maricopa Community College system. There's 10 colleges. We have 2 campuses in Mesa, Arizona. And you can see a lot of the demographic information down at the bottom. But I think a couple of the important things to keep in mind here: Mesa Community College is a Hispanic serving institution. We're a very diverse college. We are very, it's also have a large population of Native American students, a large population of first generation students. And that mirrors my school pretty well too. And so it's, I think, important to know kind of how we're integrated within the community there in the city of Mesa. Another big thing is, a very large percentage of students who start at Mesa Community College, when we survey them, they say they plan on transferring after they're done at our college, whether it be with taking some classes, getting some core classes out of the way, or achieving an associate's degree. Their plan is to transfer when they're coming in. A very large percentage of them do plan on transferring. So that's definitely something to know about our college. Now let's take a look at our school district. Many of you might be familiar with Mesa Public Schools if you're logging in from the state of Arizona. And that's the reason, because Mesa Public Schools is the largest school district in the state. It's got a lot of students, 6 very large high schools. There's a large graduation population that ends up going to a college after they graduate. And so this gives you a little bit about getting to know a little bit about the district. There's a very large ELL population. There's a lot of students on free or reduced meals. So that tells you a little bit about particularly in West Mesa, tells you a little bit about their socioeconomic background. And so a lot of these demographics are reflected within the city of Mesa too. So what ended up happening, well, before I get into what happened, tell you, this gives you district information, but I thought I could put in a little bit about my specific high school so that you kind of get a little bit of a more narrow view about the high school that I work in particularly. So Westwood High School, it's got a pretty large enrollment of students. It is one of the largest enrollment-wise in the state of Arizona. There's a lot of dual enrollment courses offered, and we'll get into that a little bit. And many of the students at my high school choose to partake in dual enrollment. We also have a very large Native American population. We're neighbors to Salt River Pima Indian community. There's a lot of students on free or reduced lunch, a lot of students who have English as their second language. So, and there's also some program highlights here. We have the IB program, which is International Baccalaureate. Some of you might be familiar with that. We have our AVID program, large special education population. And then as well, we have a lot of career and technical education programs. Those are, we have a manufacturing program. There's a lot of these, high focus areas within my high school. So, so now that you know a little bit about the particularly high school that I work in, in around 2016, 2017, some of our leaders, both within the college as well as within the school district, noticed that there was a declining enrollment for students who are graduating from these high schools and attending Mesa Community College. They also noticed a slight decrease in just kind of the overall college going rate for students in their graduating classes. So the leaders, the superintendency, our college presidents and administrators, as well as the city of Mesa, they all kind of got together. They created this, committee, and this is something that they came up with to help with those declining numbers. Is they decided, hey, what if we embedded a college advisor within each of the 6 Mesa Public Schools, and we assigned them kind of these roles to help the graduating seniors get onboarded into the community college system, as well as helping with any kind of early college, early credit earning while they're in high school, and educating the communities about that. So our embedded advisor program was born. The first year was 2017. There was an intergovernmental agreement that was signed so that we kind of set aside the rules and the what particulars as far as any kind of data sharing or any sort of access to the different systems. And so we started in 2017. Since then, our highest year, the first couple of years, we were able to grow enrollment into our community college system, and we have seen a steady increase in the overall dual enrollment, as well as recent graduate conversion into Mesa Community College. So gives you a little bit about that background with our program. It's very unique. We are, for all purposes, we're employees of Mesa Community College, but we're also unpaid employees within the Mesa Public Schools system. And so we have email addresses, we have access to all of their systems, and it allows for a better experience for the student as well. And we are there on campus 5 days a week. Whenever the students are there during contract hours, we are there supporting the community. We do the evening events, and we work very closely with the counseling teams, the administrators, the students, and the families right there at their home school. So it's a very unique opportunity, and one of the reasons why I get so excited to talk about it is because it is a rather unique position.
We have a couple of questions in the chat before you move on.
All right, thanks.
So the first question is how do MCC embedded advisors assist MCC's concurrent enrollment programs like ACE and Hoop Learning?
It's coming, I
Oh,
promise.
okay,
But thank
perfect.
you. Yeah, is there any others, or
What does growth period mean? So you mentioned the 25% more students enrolled in MCC. Is
yeah,
that dual or both?
it's the year it's from 2017 through it's about 2019, 2020, right before our COVID cliffs that we all went off of. But yeah, that period was 25% up until that right before that 2019, 2020, and that is recent graduates. There's a separate data point that is for dual enrollment, and there's sort of been a steady increase in that. And I do cover that a little bit later, but I think everybody's getting ahead of me. I just wanted to do a little bit of a level setting first before I went into the details. But thank you, everybody's with me. Yay. All right, so this is the support model that we kind of go with. The MCC advisor that's embedded in the high school, we sort of work with students throughout their enrollment cycle. And this is both kind of that. It kind of works for both a student who is doing any kind of dual or concurrent program. And then there's also for students who are graduating and then matriculating over to either an associate's degree program or a certificate program at the community college. So we work with students throughout the whole recruitment cycle, their enrollment cycle. We help them apply, we help them get placed into their classes. We advise them on what classes to take and help them enroll. We help them work through financial aid, fill out their FAFSA. Any verification that needs to be done. We do events, not only kind of enrollment events and things there at the campus. We also organize field trips to our campuses. Anything to do with admissions and records. We work with students as far as residency, verifying their identity. So there's a lot that kind of goes into it. And that's, again, part of the reason why I love it is because we're able to have, to give full service to students at their home campus as an MCC employee. All right, so now let's talk about a little bit about my home school and all the different opportunities there are to earn college credit at my school. And the reason why this is relevant is because students have a lot of options to earn college credit. And it's important that me as an embedded advisor be well versed in those things so that I can tell students what are the differences between all of these options, right? So again, I talked about these two populations. Today, we're going to focus on students who are earning college credit within high school. So it could be 9th through 12th graders at the high school, helping them with the admissions process, placement, and registration into their classes. If there's any kind of a course list or pathway that they want to work towards, we help them find that and make sure they're tracking. Those are the things that kind of mirror with both populations. And then at the bottom, you'll see some differences. We have need-based aid for students through our Maricopa grant program, which I'll get into a little bit later. We put on webinars for students to help them understand the process as well as their parents and families. We work with instructors on helping them get qualified to be dual enrollment instructors at the high school. So that's something unique. So we're able to support our academic colleagues in that. And then something that a lot of people don't really think about, and that's reverse transfer. So where a student maybe takes a class through the community college and maybe they want to transfer that back to their high school to meet a graduation requirement. We work with the administrators as well as the students to kind of work through those steps. So here's all the choices for students to earn college credit. Many of you might be familiar with these. We've got dual enrollment at the home high school. Somebody mentioned concurrent enrollment. So that's, concurrent is where student takes the class and it's not at the home site, at the home high school site. They'll take it either online through our community college system, or they do it in person at the community college with other community college students. Dual enrollment, Many of you are familiar. They take college classes at the home campus, and they take it with their, with their class of other high school students and with their high school teacher. So they're earning high school and college credit both at the same time. There's also AP through the College Board. A lot of the time, the classes are cross-listed with each other. So it'll be like a dual enrollment plus an AP class, and a student has the option of how they want to earn the college credit. And we also have an IB program, International Baccalaureate at Westwood, where students, again, will take a test at the end of their class. And depending upon that test that they earn, a college might decide to award them credit based on that test score. And so we help to explain this to the student, what all of their options are, as well as maybe what are some of the reasons they should choose one or the other. One of the things I pride myself on is being unbiased and helping the student make a decision based on what their specific needs are. So we'll have a conversation with the student, and we always do our best to try and help them make the decision that's best for them. So. And then also we support our early college programs, which a lot of you guys, you heard somebody ask a little bit earlier. We have our ACE program, which, a lot of people who know about the Maricopa Community College, it's an award-winning program. It focuses on first-generation students or students who are underrepresented. They apply their sophomore year of high school, and they're able to participate in the program and earn college credits. We have our Hoop of Learning program. So students who are in high school, if they're Native American and have that certificate of Indian blood, 2.0 GPA, they can participate and earn college credits through our Hoop of Learning program. We also have our Early College Academy. This is another program where students can earn college credit. They have a spot on their high school schedule where they can then either be bused over to our campus, and they can take classes there with other high school students at the college campus. There's also requirements to participate in those. So there's a lot of options for earning college credit while you're in high school. I didn't want to move on without talking about our Maricopa grant, though. So our Maricopa grant, this is a grant aid opportunity for students who qualify. About 25% of our students who participate in dual enrollment are awarded this Maricopa grant. And so it's important to talk about, because this does remove that barrier of, having to pay for the tuition for a lot of students. So they do pay the $15 registration fee once per semester, but pretty much the rest of their tuition is covered by this grant. And so this is just a couple of the options that they can choose in order to prove that they qualify for our Maricopa grant. They need to be an Arizona resident, and they need to provide an award letter, either provide an award letter of one of these government services, or they need to provide verification that their income falls within that 200% category there, that column. And this is that federal poverty guideline that many of you may have worked with in the past. So if they prove that income level is at or below, then we can go ahead and award the Maricopa grant. So this is a wonderful opportunity, particularly with students and the demographics that I work with, where they wouldn't be able to qualify, they wouldn't be able to pay for their tuition without this grant opportunity. So it's a wonderful, we were able to remove that barrier for them, and it's great. Okay, so now that I've talked a lot about what are all of the options, particularly within Mesa, particularly within my high school, now let's go ahead and cover a little bit about how we work with students to help them understand what it is that they want to do. When I go in and I present to classrooms, a frequent question that I get, and maybe a frequent question that you all might get, is, how do my credits transfer? And so the first thing that they will say is, will my credits transfer to this? Will my credits transfer to that? And I often find myself with these students noticing that they're asking the wrong questions, or they're not understanding kind of that it's a lot more complicated than just a yes or no answer. And so I end up having to explain a lot of these things, either in the classroom presentation when I talk about dual or concurrent programs, or I end up meeting with them individually and making sure that they're all set with these things. So, they may not understand what a degree check sheet is, or, a map of how to achieve their degrees. They may not understand what all of the milestones are in achieving that career, depending upon the career. And I'll talk a little bit about that. They may not fully understand how long it's going to take in order to achieve those goals. And they don't fully grasp what the cost is and what are their options to save money along the way. And so the earlier that we cover this information, the better off students end up being. And so this is just one example about these milestones that I talk about. I often get asked from students, hey, what is your career goal? What do you hope to do? And students will ask, they'll tell me, hey, I want to be in nursing, right? And whenever I hear nursing, there's always a fairly lengthy conversation, well practiced on my end, about what it is, what it takes in order to achieve that degree. Not only do you have to take prerequisite classes, if you're doing it through the community college anyway, then students will need to apply for this professional training program after they achieve a certain grade level in their prerequisite classes. Then they must complete an associate's degree. They must pass probably some sort of a licensing exam, and then they need to submit to that board to get a license. It works a lot with professional programs. So, with things like law or med school or anything like that, where you go to graduate school to get these things. And students don't necessarily understand what are the milestones that they're going to have to achieve along the way. They may just have an end goal, but they don't understand their full, all of the steps that it's going to take to get there. So the question that I find myself asking and answering for them is, does this class count towards the degree that I want to earn, right? Does this class count towards the degree? And that's something that I often find myself answering to students. So what is it that our embedded advisor programs do? So let's bring it around full circle. How do we support these transfer students in their success? Well, we help them identify and enter their paths sooner, whether that be achieving, maybe they want to earn an associate's degree, or maybe they want to go to a university. Students are able to identify that path, and then they can figure out what classes that they can take while they're in high school that's going to count towards that path, right? That accelerates their degree completion, that gives them knowledge earlier, and it decreases the likelihood that they're going to end up taking classes that are not going to count towards that degree. So this coaching, this advising that we do in the high schools with high school students, whether or not they're starting at a university, maybe they're starting at a community college, and maybe they're not starting right away, maybe they're going to take classes later, they at least understand what the process is going to be like and how that process plays out. One thing I didn't mention either is a lot of students will ask about out-of-state schools. How are my credits going to transfer to the out-of-state school? Again, and the question that I end up answering is that's the wrong question to ask. The question you want to ask is, how is the institution that you want to attend going to accept the credits that you currently have? Because they're the ones that make that decision. So having these coaching opportunities, these learning opportunities earlier while they're in high school helps students understand the process earlier. So once again, some of the questions we answer before they take their class: how will my credit transfer? What is the cost going to be? Is there financial assistance available? Because, the FAFSA, students are not applying for FAFSA while they're in high school to take 1 or 2 dual enrollment classes. So that's why we have that separate grant opportunity. During their class, students don't know what would happen if they drop the class at their high school. What are their repercussions? At what point is it a W on their transcript? What resources as a student are available to me? Things like tutoring, things like library resources, that students don't realize that if they are a student who's enrolled in a class at a college, all of those many of those student services are available to them. And what about afterwards, supporting students after they've earned their credit? How do I send my transcripts to the institution? And what if I change my mind about what major or degree I want to pursue? How are these credits going to be accepted then? And so helping students to understand before, during, and after, I think is the fun thing about helping students in their future transfer. So a couple other highlights, just to kind of finish it out. We love our program. It's wonderful, and I believe that our partners really enjoy having us on campus. We're really able to not only help students with these enrollment services, which is wonderful at their home campus, but we're able to build relationships with students and with the staff, and with the community as well. So these are just some of those. We do a survey every year, and some of these comments from folks that, we're easy to talk to, that they find us helpful. They never knew what they did without having an embedded advisor on campus. And we love hearing that. And we are cheerleaders for our students, regardless of where they're going to go to school. I frequently work with students who are going to start at a university. I just met with a student who, several students who want to go out of state. And so regardless of where they want to go, it doesn't have to be MCC. We sort of provide a service to our students so that they understand the process. A few highlights of our program, we did receive some awards. We were a program to watch with Excellencia. We did get it's a League for Innovation, our college's Innovation of the Year Award. This program has been replicated throughout many of our Maricopa Community College systems. And it's a wonderful way to have a centralized, seamless student transition into the college setting. A couple of interesting facts and trends. We did see a pretty high enrollment growth with dual enrollment. From the year that we started 2017 to today, we've seen over 50% increase of our students who are enrolled in dual enrollment. So more students are earning college credit than when before our embedded advisor program began, to now more students are seeking that credit. So, and some of the most popular classes that some of you might be interested in, obviously we've got English, and we've got some math, some science. I really wanted to make sure I pointed out, though, the history program there at the bottom, because that does count towards their awareness areas for many of our bachelor's degrees. So students are completing some of these requirements earlier, and I love talking to them about how that requirement is met, and then they don't have to take another class later because this class can count towards that requirement. And future planning, some of you might be interested kind of where this is all going. This is wonderful opportunities here to really have map out the process earlier into their high school. So, we've talked about these on-ramps and off-ramps depending upon what students' interest area is. And so developing those so students can, get onto a program easier or come off of a program easier and still have their classes count towards that program. If we build it out a little bit sooner, then students can start on it sooner, and they have a roadmap to where it is that they want to go. Incentivizing teachers. And so we'd really like to incentivize our high school teachers to be certified to teach dual enrollment, so that way, we offer more opportunities to more students there at the high school level. One of those barriers is, a student, many times a teacher needs to have their master's degree in their content area, and there's that cost factor that prevents them from doing it. So if we're trying to remove some of those barriers for teachers so that they can go about it and get that certification. Focusing on these high-need, high-skill courses. Some of you may have heard Maricopa is offering bachelor's degrees in those particular areas. How does that look for a student who is doing dual or concurrent enrollment? So working out, that the path for how does that look for a student, and then, career advisement, having more conversations with more students so that they understand this process a little bit better. I go into, our counselors invite me into their presentations with their classes, seniors, with juniors, with sophomores, and to talking about this information earlier, so it reaches more students earlier. So here's my contact information, and now that's it. That's all I got for you guys. If there's any questions, I think maybe Kaylani can help me, moderate there, but thank you guys so much for attending my session. I was really happy to present to you guys today.
So we do have one question still in the Q&A, and this is regarding the ACE and hoops of learning. I think you touch kind of on the holistic version of what you do from an advising standpoint, but is there anything specific you want to touch on about ACE and hoop of learning?
It's a concurrent enrollment program, but it's, and those programs are kind of, they each have their student, the students that they accept into their programs, they have different qualifications. But basically, in a nutshell, what they are is they're concurrent enrollment programs. So when a student applies to those programs, they can take classes over the summer at our campus location. And then if it's during the school year, they give up half of their Saturdays to take classes, to take a class on Saturdays during the school year. So a student will earn credit each one of those terms. So summer, fall, and spring, and they're earning college credit, and then they're still taking their high school classes during the regular school day. So it's an organized way for students to earn that college credit, and then each one of them kind of has their focus. So ACE, the programming that the ACE program does focuses on helping these students kind of become more familiar with the college going process, with financial aid and paying for paying for college, with their academic programs, and then just kind of having a college going culture. And the HOOP program, they do all of that as well. And they also do some programming, based on their Native American background, so that they understand a little bit more about, who it is that they are, their identity, and then why it's important that they go to college as well. So that's sort of, they each kind of have their each individual kind of target areas, but they kind of have a similar process for applying and getting enrolled in classes. I hope that answered the question.
So I think that tells us a little bit about both of those programs, but there's a question about how do embedded advisors help ACE and the HOL students and staff at the high schools?
Sure, yeah. So we're there to support students, particularly in the areas. I'll go back kind of to my slide back here. So the fun thing about being an embedded advisor is that we kind of work with all of these areas that a student can do at the enrollment center. So if a student needs to present their ID, or if a student has a question about placement, typically a student might need to call, or they might need to physically go to the campus to get that question answered, right? Well, the good thing about having an embedded advisor on the campus is that we can help that student complete that task fairly well. We can help them understand how their credits that they're taking through the ACE and Hoop of Learning program are going to transfer into a specific college major. And they don't have to go to campus to get those questions answered, right? They don't have to make an appointment with that specific coordinator to get those questions answered. They can do that right next door to their high school. My office is right next to them. They can come and visit me during their lunch, before or after school. And so it removes that geographic barrier to have a person that is a college representative answer their question. And if I don't know that answer to that question, I have a relationship with that ACE or that Hoop of Learning coordinator. I can just send them a chat or a text, or, they know me, they know I'm at the high school, and they can answer that question, or they can connect with that student if they need to. So just having that access to where, a lot of the times, a student might be deterred by maybe having to make a phone call or send an email. It's a lot easier for them to come to a staff member that they have a relationship with to ask their question. And then we can kind of, help them get connected a little bit easier to get that resource that they need. So we're basically a staff member there, and we support our ACE and our Hoop of Learning partners in kind of whatever they need to help get students onboarded there. So we're sort of a support person, but we don't lead those programs.
Thank you for that. We have another question. This is more on a student transferring, I think, from let's say you're at MCC now and you want to transfer on to a four-year university. Does the embeddedness position assist with that at all? Or is it more so high school students transferring to a community college?
Yeah, so what we do is we help students understand the credit that they're earning at the high school. But you're right, when a student, let's say a student goes and goes to our community college and they want to transfer after they earn their associate's degree. The good thing about that is that there are representatives at the home campus that can help them with that, right? So in our example with Mesa Community College, we have 4 college representatives who are at our home campus to help students with those transfer questions. The 4 institutions are Arizona State, U of A, University of Arizona, there's Northern Arizona University, and there's Grand Canyon. They each have representatives at our school to help students specifically with that question, right? So once they're on campus and taking classes at the community college, then they get the regular services that any student would to help them transfer, right? So we're more about helping educate students while they're earning their high school credit at the high school, because we are embedded in the high school full time. But that's a good question, because when a student builds a relationship with us, oftentimes if they don't get an immediate answer from the institution, they'll send us a text message, they'll call us and they'll say, hey, can you help me with this? Can you help me enroll in my last semester of classes? Can you help me with my financial aid? I don't know where I'm going. And so we do our best to get those students connected to the right resource at that point as well. So building those relationships does not end once they get to the college.
We have another question regarding the embedded advisors. How many does MCC employ, and are they assigned to one school, or do you rotate different schools?
That's a good question. Part of one of the things that I love, having been in recruitment and having assigned schools for many years at a different institution, is that we are only assigned one high school. I am just at Westwood High School. That's it, full time. I help those students with all of the things that I kind of covered today in our presentation. So that's one of the really cool things, and one of the things that attracted me about this program is that we are only assigned to one high school. There's 6 total high schools in Mesa Public Schools, and there is 1 embedded advisor at each one of the 6 schools. So there's 6 total embedded advisors in our program right now. So that is one of the really great things that I love about it, is we're able to focus on one school community and help them as best as we can. And so I think that answers the question. The different colleges have different models though. So not everyone has this same model. Not everyone within our Maricopa system has the same model, but at Mesa, we're able to have this model.
Thank you. I don't see any additional questions in the chat or in the Q&A. Did you want to just add your email in the chat function in case someone does have additional questions for you?
Sorry, yeah, I will go back to that slide at the end. I forgot to move it back. Sorry if I'm making anyone dizzy. All right, there you go.
And I'll go ahead and add it to the chat as well. Well, thank you all for your time today, and thank you, Arturo, for walking us through the great program you work for.
Awesome. Thank you, everybody, for coming.